Hello Year 6, Mrs Green here, again with your next spelling lesson. Today's lesson is a continuation from the previous lesson, focusing on silent letters. Can you remember what silent letters are? So behind you can see that I've got some picture clues. Just say it out loud to the screen what a silent letter is. So you should have said that a silent letter is a letter sound that you cannot hear when spoken, but you can see it when written down. But before we get into more about silent letters, we're just going to play a quick game. So as you can see behind me, there is an anagram. I have taken one of your spelling words this week, which is a word that has a silent letter in, and jumbled up all the letters, and I'd like you to see if you can figure it out, okay? I am going to count down from 10 as we would do in class. Are we ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now normally in class I would get you to hold your whiteboards up, but I want you to just shout at the screen, what is the word? And let's reveal it. Architect. I've got a short, fun, animated video that talks about silent letters, but it also gives you really inventive strategies to help you practice, to help you learn spellings with silent letters in. So we're going to just watch that.
Silent letters are found in lots of English words, and because you can't hear them when you say the word, it makes spelling these words really tricky. To remember the silent N in the words solemn, autumn, column, and hymn, I remind myself that a solemn occasion is full of solemnity. That an autumn day is full of autumnal colours. A newspaper column is written by a columnist. And that a hymn is sung from a hymnal. And here's a crazy sentence to help you remember some tricky silent T's. After tea, listen for the whistle before you fasten up the castle, and at bedtime, use the bristle of a thistle to wrestle out the gristle and glisten up your teeth. Which brings me to my final spelling tip for remembering silent letters. All of these words have tricky silent letters in their spelling, so why not try making a big deal about pronouncing the silent letters and see if that helps you to spell them. Here we go. Island, salmon, February, library, yacht, skiz-oars, sword. It's odd to begin with, but after a while, you'll get the hang of it. You can even try pronouncing the silent letters when you're chatting with each other. It's like speaking a foreign language. See how you get on. Bye!
Okay, so I hope you found that video helpful. And I recommend trying some of those strategies with practicing these spellings as well. Okay, so what I've got now for you is another challenge. And it's a challenge for two reasons, but I think it'll be quite fun as well. So firstly, it's quite tricky for you to do this because you haven't actually got the paper puzzle in front of you. However, I do think with the clues, you'll still be able to have a go. It also is not necessarily going to contain the words from your spelling list this week, but it is going to contain the words from the year 5-6 spelling list. So you're going to have to rack your brains to see what words you can remember from that list. But to help you out, I am going to read out the clues. Now, if you have got mum and dad or big brother around, you might want to try and get them involved as well. It could be like a family challenge, of course, if they're not too busy. But here we go anyway. So, having a look, I'm going to start up here and I'm going to go down. So 4 across. We can all help to look after by remembering to switch off lights and recycle paper. 7 across. If the end of 2 words sounds the same, like house and mouse, they are said to 8 across. To find this value in degrees Celsius, you use a thermometer. What could that be? 9 across. When you buy something new, the shop will give you this is like a promise to replace the item if it goes wrong. I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking that you're given a receipt when you buy something, but think about the actual promise that they make you. Okay, 10. Cars, buses, lorries and motorbikes are all types of... 11 across. Oh dear, I've eaten too much cake. I've got a ache. Right, looking at the down words now. So, number 1 down. The organisation which runs a country is called the... 2 down. A place for burying the dead. 3 down. Do you need to check a word? How would you check a word? You could look in a... 5 down. Roald Dahl wrote a book called George's Medicine. 6 down. This person sits next to you in class or lives next door. What do you call the person who lives next door? Okay. And 8. On the day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 12 drummers drumming. So think very carefully about that song. So pause the video now and have a go, either on your own or with somebody that has got a bit of time to help you as well. Okay, so we are now going to reveal the answers. So we've got government, cemetery, environment, dictionary, rhyme, temperature, 12th, vehicle, stomach, guarantee. I'm going to let you just have a look at the moment at the answers. But you might have noticed that I've also highlighted some of the words. Okay, so I've highlighted a lot of the silent letters in some of the words, okay? So when we're pronouncing a lot of these words, we don't pronounce these letters. So when we pronounce government, for example, we don't pronounce the N. We don't tend to say government, although it is there when we write it, okay? Stomach, we don't tend to pronounce that, the H either. Vehicle, unless you live in America, we don't say vehicle over here. But you might have noticed that some have got a red arrow and it says unstressed vowel, and that's very, very similar to a silent letter as well, because we don't put emphasis on that letter when we say it. So in a way, it's almost a silent letter too. Okay, so an example of that is the word dictionary. Some people do say dictionary, but others say dictionary. Therefore, they're kind of omitting that A. So in some cases, it can be a silent letter as well. So well done if you managed to get that done, because it was a really, really tricky challenge. Okay, so we're also going to have a bit of a focus today on handwriting. I'm going to use one word from your spelling list in order to model our school's handwriting policy. But before I do, I just want to talk a little bit about how important handwriting is. It is just as important as spelling. In fact, it is one of our Year 6 objectives that Year 6 children should be able to join their handwriting, but consistently, but also be able to maintain that handwriting style for a long piece of writing as well. Okay, so just take a look up here, because this just reminds us of our pen pal's handwriting. So you can see all the letters that need to be joined and all the letters that aren't joined. So you can see that we don't join the letter B, we don't join the letter J on from it, we don't join on from the letter P, we don't join on from the letter Q, or X, or Y, or Z. Okay, but it also highlights ascenders and descenders. Okay, so an ascender, other than being a capital letter, is a letter that goes above the top baseline here, the blue line. Okay, so I have chosen this word plumber because the letter P is often one where children get a little bit confused between ascenders and descenders, and you might be thinking, yeah, I do that sometimes. So I'm just going to model P as an ascender. Okay, it's a capital letter. Okay, when you're not doing a capital letter, when you're doing a lowercase letter, P becomes a descender because it actually would go below the line. And this is what we're constantly having to remind children about. So have a little bit of a practice for that today. So I'm just going to model how we would actually write plumber using our handwriting policy. Okay, so let's have a go. So the P comes underneath the line, the circular part of the P rests. Okay, then I go into my ascend and my L. Okay, my U and my M all in line, my B another, Ascender. I'm not going to join on from my B. Just to finish off. So I would like you to have a go at just writing that out a few times and comparing yours with mine and asking yourself the question. Is your P written as a descender? Right, so you might recall your spelling list from last lesson. Here it is again. And I'm now going to share with you your chilies, okay? Okay, if you choose to do one chili, I would like you to highlight the silent letters in each of the following words. Okay, so have a think about all of these words and have a think about which would be the silent letter. Now, the best way to do that is to actually try saying it out loud and try and listen for a letter that you don't hear, that is omitted. Okay, an example of that again is Christmas. Now, some of us might say Christmas, but most of us tend to say Christmas, so we're not actually pronouncing that letter T. So that's your one chili task. 2 chili. Write a fun mnemonic. Okay, well, I'm just going to highlight there that we don't pronounce that M, so that's the silent letter. Write a fun mnemonic to help remember how to spell 5 of the words from the list above. Okay, similar to what we saw in that fun animated video earlier. Okay, an example of that could be for the word crumb, clever rats understand my books. It could be as silly as you want it to be. Okay, and then 3 chili children. I'd like you to have a go at doing 2 chili, but also having a go at 3 chili, by writing some of your silent letter words into sentences that contain relative clauses. Okay, and of course we're always trying to encourage you to get onto Spelling Shed. It's a really fun way to practice your spellings, and I'm just going to do a big shout out today. When I last checked the Spelling Shed numbers, these are our class's winners, so let's see if we can be a little bit competitive, Year 6. Samson at the moment for 6G is on 2,464,648. Kyra for 6M, 3,224,992. 6P, ooh, Edward, 14,514,046. And then 6R, Harrison, he should be very impressed with this score, 21,793,040. So let's see if some other children can get their name up on this board as well. These 4 children definitely need rewarding with Class Dojos. I'm going to reward them today with Class Dojos for Aspiration. Aspiration because not only have they taken control of their own learning by going on Spelling Shed, but they're obviously hoping to achieve something, so they're aiming high. So first of all, 6G, Samson. Dojo for you. Well done, Samson. Okay, and Kyra. Point for Kyra, well done Kyra. And Edward's turn, well done Edward. And finally Harrison. Harrison, you should be very impressed. Okay, and as always, any work that you want us to see, you can email it in, you can take a picture and get parents to email that in too. We're always happy to see what you guys are up to.